Well, what about
it's
them and
the
Biggie?
first of the month. Well, Bo's and Biggie.
I think that's the greatest Biggie verse of all time.
all time. Straight up, we know Angel Dust.
Yeah,
Labels us notorious.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It was unbelievable. Let's go to Tim real quick in Raleigh, North Carolina. Tim, what's happening, man? You're on the roast.
Hey, Tim.
What's up, fellas? Hey, I heard y'all earlier this week, man. I just wasn't able to call in, so I wanted to kind of chime in on like three things real quick, man, if you give me a minute. The first thing I want to say, guys, is we got to be careful on Kuminga. You know, we just really have to be careful, man. I mean, one thing Joe Lacob does want to do for a long time, especially with that new building, is he want to sell tickets and put butts in the seats. And when is the last time you remember a guy that not getting no playing time, getting a standing ovation for getting some 2 or 3 minutes in the playoffs for getting out there on the court? I mean, this guy's going to sell tickets. There's very few people out here in this league that sell tickets. Kuminga's going to sell tickets for that team for a long time to come. And that takes me to the next point. I heard y'all talking about maturity and things earlier this week. And Shasky, I love the points you were bringing up, Devontae, because when we talk about that C.J. Holmes thing, we almost talk like this kid was sitting in a secret room somewhere calling C.J. saying, hey, look at all the things they're doing. You guys leave out the point, and Bonte, I can't believe you do this, bro. You leave out the point. CJ said this kid was sitting there with a smile on his face, simply answering some questions. And that's where what Shasky was saying comes into play. Maybe he just didn't know answering these questions would be out there like that.
No,
think about it. What
let me hold on, Tim. As a journalist, you sit down with a player. You say, hey, I'm writing a story. And I may write a story about you, about your playing time. Can I talk to you about your playing time? I may publish this. This is on the record. You always clarify that before you talk to a player. This is on the record. So that's unfair to C.J. Holmes to say that he went there to talk to him, and all of a sudden Jonathan Kuminga picks up a paper and says, oh, my God, I didn't know that was published. C.J. Holmes could lose his job for doing that, and he didn't do that. It was on the record. Kuminga knew it was on the record.
But does the thing that said and smiling while he's
all right, he's breaking up. Tell Tim to call back. I want to finish that conversation.
His phone was breaking.
That's fine if he's smiling during the interview. That's all fine and dandy. But it's still about the words that are coming out of your mouth and the timing of what's coming out of your mouth. Now, at the end of the day, I don't care. He was out of Steve Kerr's rotation. But you know that sealed his fate. That sealed his fate for the playoffs. No matter what Kerr said about GP2, Wiggins, I believe that sealed his fate because I know from walking around that arena, some people just weren't happy about it. It's like, really? Want to go to the press for this? It's almost like with Jet York. Remember when the Niners had all those leaks? Mm-hmm. And John Lynch got the job, and he wanted to see if Jet York could keep his mouth shut for 2 weeks. They were under wraps. He's like, all right, there's been a lot of leaks there.
Feels like a lifetime ago.
Really? Let's keep everything in-house. So all of a sudden, you got these leaks to the press and stuff like that. I was like, wait, I thought this was internal. I know you're unhappy, but you got to go to C.J. Holmes, or C.J. Holmes went to you for a story, you talk to him. But don't put C.J. Holmes and say he's at fault here. A reporter will always clarify whether they're on or off the record. There ain't no messiness going on with C.J. Holmes on the Chronicle. That's not fair to C.J.
Can just for a second?
That's not fair at all. I don't like that because a lot of people have been saying that.
I'm not saying that, but I'm going John Kuminga. Jonathan Kuminga is not the first athlete to have either a misinterpretation, a recalibration, second thoughts on what was public and what wasn't. Phil Mickelson famously with Alan Shipnuck, and Phil's been in the eye of the public for 30 years?
Right.
Okay, you would think would understand how to navigate media. Alan Shipnuck, who's one of the premier golf writers and has been for 30 years, there was huge misinterpretation. Alan said everything was on the record. Phil said nothing was on the record, and it was a casual conversation between the two of them. And these are two guys that you would think would know better. And I don't know if that's Phil covering his butt, because that's what most people assume.
That's what they do. That's what a lot of athletes do that.
But what I'm saying is that Kuminga, it's not exclusive to Kuminga. We've seen it in other sports.
It's not. I'm just looking at Kuminga.
Where guys don't know.
I'm not. Or
they want to revisionist history. That's all I'm saying.
That's not fair to the reporter.
No, I agree with you.
That's not fair because, some athletes they say things. I'm like, oh, well, I was misquoted. Well, it's hard to misquote somebody. I've done millions of interviews. Tape recorder right here. I'm answering the question. Your answer's on tape. I'm publishing it because I'm doing an article. Now, you can try to push back and say, well, you know what? I didn't say that. Well, I have it right here that you said it. I asked a clear question. So that's not fair to CJ. Like, I get it. It's not exclusive to Jonathan Kuminga. I get the whole maturity thing. I get him coming over from another country. I'm just saying it wasn't the best look for him.
That I think we all agree. I think we all agree.
But there's people who were pushing back saying CJ Holmes did him dirty. No.
I guess where I'm coming from is, can we be a little more delicate in how we're dealing with, like, and a little more understanding?
Nobody's crushing the kid. Nobody's crushing the kid. But he's been in this league now, and he knows how the media works.
Yeah.
He ain't no dummy. Kuminga, see, that's the thing. He's 20 years old, but Kuminga's a very smart individual. Let's not play him like he's an aloof and he doesn't know what's really going on.
I just think trying to navigate this current climate we're in is difficult for everyone. Us, your 14-year-old that's trying to navigate TikTok and not get themselves kicked out of school.
Right.
Superstars in the NBA like Steph and Kevin Durant has an issue with social media, or at least some people deem it to be an issue. Like, it's tough. That's all.
I think Kevin Durant embraces social media. When people are like, oh, why do you worry about it? He just tries to converse with people.
I mean, there were a lot of DMs that people were screenshotting and stuff. I mean, there's just been a lot. That's all. I just think that we're in a hyperly critical era, and I'm asking everyone, like, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And this is coming from a guy who can't take a deep breath.
Tim, he's back. Tim, what's up, Tim? Go ahead, finish up strong.
Hey, let me apologize.
No, you're all good.
I wanted to come out was more like he didn't understand the impact just sitting around having a conversation.
Got it.
That's
was what fair.
Like the cultural thing was maybe like, look, man, you make these comments, it's going worldwide. Basically,
right.
Is what I was getting at.
Yeah, no doubt.
Last thing I wanted to say, we talk about personal agendas and a lot of these things from the beginning of the year, guys. I think at the beginning of the year, Steve Kerr and his agenda that he wants to hold everybody to this thing that if they didn't go to college, they not ready to play in this league. How many times he always bring it up? I asked Steph, I asked Dre, when were they ready to make an impact? Well, listen, everybody is different. Everybody may need to be treated a little bit differently. Mm-hmm. We all can look at that court. We all know the game of basketball, and we can see this 20-year-old phenom can go out there and do some damn things. Give him an opportunity. Empower him. And sometimes, Vontae, tough love is when Kuminga missed that rebound in Sacramento, right? We all saw it. He didn't crash the glass. It's bringing him over to you and say, hey, listen, man, get out there. Go get the rebound. Show what you can do. Let me see it. We all know what you can do. And you get his butt back out there and see if he can make a change. You don't banish him. And I think what happened is he was too quick to banish the kid. Yep. So at the end of the day, I think his agenda of holding college on these players and not treating them to the talents that they have a lot to do with it, man. So that was it. I just think we got to be careful on Kuminga. I mean, guys, we all talk about it. We're not idiots. We see something in this guy. This guy was not James Marsden. We see that through all of the fire, through all of the battles, this kid still kept his confidence. Imagine what happens when his confidence is empowered. Yep. Look at Austin Reeves, guys. Same draft class, undrafted. Why is he what he is now? Empowered by the team, by the Lakers, and now he's become something. Imagine what Kuminga feels like sitting on that bench, seeing Keegan Murray, seeing Austin Reeves, seeing these guys being empowered. Yep. Austin Reeves wasn't even drafted in his same class, guys. Yep. We don't know what that feels like, man.
No,
and
it's
the kid
tough.
Still brings it. He still comes. So that's all, guys. I appreciate y'all letting me get back on.
Good call, Tim. Really good call there. Tuesday, March 28th. And he talked about not banishing Jonathan Kuminga. This is one game I thought Steve Kerr and Kuminga turned the corner. So Jonathan Kuminga starts this game. Steve Kerr decides, you know what, I'm going to start. Valanciunas gives us problems. I'm going to start Draymond at the 5. I'm going to go Kuminga, Curry, Clay, DiVincenzo. And Poole's going to cut off the bench. And Poole came off the bench and scored 21 that game. But early in that game, Kuminga picked up 2 quick fouls. And Steve Kerr benched him. And usually that's a point where what Tim was talking about, Kuminga gets banished. He doesn't play much more. But Steve Kerr in that game gave Kuminga another shot. And Kuminga ended up playing 31 minutes. He had a fantastic fourth quarter. He ended up 5 of 5, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, cut hard to the basket. It really D'd up Brandon Ingram in that second half. Really made life difficult for Brandon Ingram. He ended up shooting 9 of 22 that night. And that was when I thought, okay, Kerr has finally turned the corner on Kuminga, and he gave him a longer leash. What Tim was talking about, you go in there, miss a rebound, boom, you're out of the game. And we saw that in the Sacramento series. He didn't play in the Lakers series. But in that game, that was late in the season. And I thought, boy, Kerr's finally trusted Kuminga. That's a great sign for the playoffs. He gave him 31 minutes. And then we didn't see that again. And that's the unfortunate part about the Steve Kerr and Kuminga dynamic, where it's like, you knew he was going to make mistakes, but Kuminga's a kid who's only 20 years old who gets better as the game goes along because he catches up to the speed. He starts recognizing coverages. He starts oh, this is where I need to be offensively. Oh, this is what this guy is doing. Oh, I can now pick up this guy full court. Or I know what his tendencies are offensively. All that stuff came into play the longer he played. A young kid like that, you give him 3 minutes, he makes a couple mistakes, you don't play him no more. I didn't agree with that philosophy. But in that game, and that was late in the season, March 28th, Kerr, I thought, turned the corner with Kuminga, said, okay, I'm going to give him a second shot. And he played well. Had a great fourth quarter.
Okay, this is a loaded question. Let's say they don't make any moves, and the entire roster essentially gets rolled back next year. What's Kuminga's role?
Don't know.
Like, if Draymond's on this team, if Wiggins is on this team, where does he fit in? If GP2 is on this team?
Don't know. Doesn't seem like he fits. It does not seem like he fits.
What would you envision his role to be if that were the case?
If those guys come back, I see his role being the same. Well, inconsistent minutes.
Okay, let's say if you could, in an ideal world, put together Kuminga's role on a blank canvas team, what is it?
Oh, he's going to be a two-way player.
What
30 minutes in
essentially?
3 or 4.
3 or 4, okay.
Yeah, 3 or 4. Look, he's a baller. He's a baller who can guard 1 through 4 right now.
Okay.
Sometimes 5, but mostly 1 through 4. And maybe 1 through 3.
Offensively, you're going to try to run him in pick and roll situations?
I think right now you got a little play pick and roll, but he can make things happen off the dribble.
A little
bit.
Yeah.
Like he goes a little too fast when he slows down. He has a devastating speed move. I love his little fadeaway jumper inside the paint, 10 to 12 feet. He hits that automatically, just rising above defenders, hitting that shot. So I don't know what his ideal role is. I just know he needs to play. He needs to play.
Like, if we were to just throw him on the Washington Wizards, and I'm just randomly picking that team, and we're starting from scratch, like, we think he can be a high-impact player. Like, if he had a full year of...
Not right away.
Well, no, I'm saying if he had a full year of just being able to go out there and make all the mistakes and also make all of the shot opportunities possible, I could envision a scenario where he could be an 18-point-a-game guy.
I was thinking 18-7, 18-8. If you play 30-plus minutes.
That's an ideal situation with a huge runway.
Right. And you're just playing.
Man,
I don't know if that role's coming. And you heard the report, again, right after Game 6, you got the Shams Charania report and Anthony Slater that the Warriors are zeroing in on an extension for Draymond Green. And then moments later, in that same article or in another article, you get that, well, Jonathan Kuminga and his people want to sit down with the Golden State Warriors, and they want to try to figure out his role. He wants a larger role. And if he doesn't get that, he would like to explore his options. Well, and you bring back Wiggins GP2, what role is he going to have? If you bring back the same core group, how is his role going to get bigger with the same group in front of him?
Well, and I think that's where, like, I'm coming to this moment in time where I'm saying to myself, all right, either they got to move off of Kuminga or they need to commit to Kuminga. I don't think they can do exactly what they did last year. Bonte, like, it's one or the other. It's literally one or the other for me. Either you're committing to him and you're carving out a role for him and you're going to live and die with his development at 20 years old,
right?
Or you're moving off of him. I don't think you can do the wishy-washy, his minutes are inconsistent. Like, they need clarity.
Here's Kuminga on how he dealt with his minutes this past season.
I had to get adapted to it. It was just my second year in the league. I feel like the people that came back have established more, especially here. And it's nothing that we really could do to change that. So I just got to get used to it, and that's it.
And does he want to get used to it? Here's what Kuminga said about being patient.
It's not hard to practice patience. It's not. It just depends on people. So you gotta be patient. I don't know how else I could say it, but you gotta know where you are at some point. And you gotta know what the other people have established that's ahead of you. As much as you're patient, a lot of things could change. A lot of things could come your way. So I feel like in the middle of the season, I was kind of patient, and things changing, things happening, and I felt that helped me to go out there and perform because I was patient, and my patience helped me to grind every day, to get better every day.
And then what was said in this exit interview?
Have you had your exit interview meeting with the organization at this point?
I literally just had a couple minutes ago.
What message did I guess the organization have for you in that meeting?
They're just happy with the way I have grew. Pretty much just they want me to keep adding on what I did this year, keep learning the game and just growing more, figuring out how I could impact even way more on winning. And I think that's what's been my goal, to just figure out I could impact and on winning.
So how can he carve out a consistent role? Well, one, he has to be consistent, but two, Steve Kerr has to throw a little more trust in him, right? And Steve Kerr keeps mentioning the leap. Curry made the leap in year 3. Draymond made the leap in year 4. But they had played 4 in 3 years of college basketball. That's 7 combined years.